and gentlemen, it is 7 minutes stretch time. We invite you to join in singing Hey Out to the Ball Game.
The man that you just saw do that artwork live on stage before your very eyes is Charles Fazzino. He's a famous 3D contemporary pop artist, and we are very glad to have you here with us this morning, Charles. Say hello. So let's start by talking a little bit about what you guys just saw here. Okay? You saw Charles Fazzino create an entire piece of artwork from start to finish in about 8 minutes. Okay? Just so you know, that usually takes anywhere from weeks to months to even years for him to complete. The artwork that he did was capturing, at least we hope it was, so we hope you guys got the gist of what we were trying to do here. What was going on over here is a baseball game, and Charles was actually capturing it live in his artwork. And that's kind of the message we want you guys to get today about, how special that artwork is, that art is, any kind of art. We say that art is transformative and it's transcendent. It's transformative because it takes the world around us, what you saw happening over here, and it transforms it into another form. Okay? And it's transcendent because it transcends time, meaning that what you saw here took about 8 minutes. But if you were to take this piece of artwork home and put it on your wall, I bet if you looked at it 10 years from now, you'd remember what happened here today. Yes? No? Maybe? You guys are great. Okay. So what we're going to do now is sort of take a step back and do a little panel discussion up here. I've got Charles Fazzino. This is Jamie Cancel. He's been Charles's art director for 25 years. And we're going to just talk to you guys a little bit about how Charles got to where he is, how he became a famous artist, because quite frankly, he started when he was younger than you guys. So do we have any budding artists in the audience? Raise your hands. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. That's not bad. Okay, so Charles, we're going to start by having you just tell these guys, how did you from an early age that you wanted to be an artist. How did that come about?
I did. I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade, and my parents were artists. Not traditional artists. My father was a shoe designer in New York, and my mother was a sculptor, and she made handmade crafts at local craft shows. So there was always art around me in the home, and they were always encouraging me to keep drawing and be creative, just like they were.
Something tells me that you had a couple of teachers that had a little bit of an impact on you.
I did. I can really remember one specific teacher in 10th and 11th grade, Miss Hammer, at my school in New York, who said that you really have something special. You really have a great sense of design and a sense of color, and you should keep developing it. So I think that's the most important thing, is if you have, you feel a talent and you like doing it, the important thing is to keep doing it.
So, some kids want to be doctors, some kids want to be astronauts. You wanted to be an artist.
Yes.
What was your nickname in school?
I was the mad doodler.
Right, why?
I was always in trouble in school because I was doodling all over the desks, and I had destroyed school property many times, always ending up in detention for decorating desks, because that's what I was into. I was always into drawing and half listening to what I was, math or science, but I was always completely compelled to be constantly drawing and doodling, and that's usually what I understand is a sign of kids that really want to, continue in the arts. It's always this nervous energy that you may have that's always drawing and sketching. And any of you have that? Any of you like to do that?
Who's destroyed a desk?
Yeah, we're not advocating destroying any desks.
We just want to know. Your teachers aren't looking.
But I'll tell you one thing. Many of the teachers today that I've met later on have said they wish they kept some of the desks and sold them.
So we went through elementary school, we're in high school, you did your first art contest when you were in high school, and then you went off to where for college, that's the word.
I wasn't great in any of my other classes, so the natural thing for me to do was to go to art school. So I went to art school in the mid to late 70s in New York City. And it was a great time in New York where there was famous artists in the same school as me, which is School of Visual Arts, like Keith Haring and many other artists. So it was a great time to be there, and I was happy to be there because it was a college and a school that accepted me.
So you still, though, throughout your studies, you had some positive reinforcement and some negative reinforcement, didn't you?
Yes, one professor stands out at School of Visual Arts named Sue Coe, who is also a very famous painter and illustrator today, and she would constantly criticize what I was drawing and say that this is horrible and just, you can do better than this is terrible, you didn't spend enough time on this. So it's, that fueled the fire in me to excel and want to be better at what I was doing. And I think I attribute that connection with her being so critical that allowed me to try to be better than what I was and to continue to draw.
So now you know when your teachers are picking on you, they're not really picking on you. They're trying to make you better people. So listen to them. That's our other message for today. So when you were going through the School of Visual Arts, you obviously had some kind of a career path in mind. What were you thinking you were going to do with this art stuff?
Well, my parents were quite successful as artists. My father was making a living as a shoe designer, and mother was successful doing the outdoor art shows in the New York area and many other different areas. So I decided I would put together a collection of work, because when I finished School of Visual Arts as an illustration major, I could not find a job. And it was the late 1970s, and all the instructors and professors I had in illustration actually had all the jobs. So there wasn't a lot of jobs. So I decided to put together a body of painting and start traveling with my mother and my father and to different outdoor art shows and showing my artwork in outdoor shows.
The band.
With my band, yes. Traveling as far as Florida, out to Pittsburgh to the Shadyside Summer Arts Festival, all different areas of this State College in Michigan, I remember, had a big outdoor art show.
So it was during this time, though, that because up until this point, you were doing this three-dimensional type of artwork.
No, I wasn't. If you can picture the same type of artwork, but without the 3D. So I always loved whimsical color and design. I just was not doing 3D at the time.
So how did you come about this 3D technique that you use?
In 1981, which is before you guys were even thought of, I was at an arts and crafts show, needed some art supplies, walked into an arts and crafts store in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and there was a class going on called paper tolling and decoupage. So I sat down with all these retired people who were doing cutting, wrapping paper and greeting cards out. They were like Raggedy Ann and Andy, Mickey Mouse prints, cutting them out using aquarium sealant to make the layers in between the layers that you see. I sat down with them and I said, this is a really unique idea. I'd really like to do this. And as a kid, I always liked pop-out books. So I sort of put my illustration designs, my love of pop-out books, went back to New York, made some small little tiny 3D pieces and showed them at a local art show in New York City with my flat painting.
How'd that go for you?
Well, nobody bought my flat painting, but everyone was dazzled by the three-dimensional pieces. I started off with 20 in the morning, and by the end of the day, they started off at the beginning of the day, they were $50. At the end of the day, they were $200, and I sold all 20. So I said, wow.
So even then, you had a business mind.
That's right. There's some magic here between my artwork, which is different than a lot of other people's artwork, but for my artwork, because of the linear lines, it just worked. And here I am 30 years later, still.
Well, and then you went from, because at this point you're still a street artist, doing the craft shows. How did you get, make the leap from street artist into essentially your artwork is sold in over 400 galleries in 20 different countries. So, what was the big move? When did that start?
Well, what naturally happened was I was on to something great. I started making silkscreen prints and just, as I said before, continuing to do the same thing. I had a really great idea, and with that great idea, I stuck with it, continuing to just develop more and more drawings, making more handmade prints, cutting them out, making them 3D. And it just built up from there. My first art gallery was an art dealer who came up to me at the outdoor art show and said, I love these, I want to put them in my art gallery. So I continued to do that, and how it turned out was that I didn't need to do the craft shows anymore. I had enough art galleries from that and going to different shows in different states and getting a gallery here and a gallery there to show the work. Got to the point where I was so busy, I just had to supply the art galleries. And everything that you see is cut out by hand. So I was doing it all myself.
That leads me to my introduction again of Jamie Cancel, because you've been Charles' art director for about 25 years. So there's nobody in this room that can explain to us other than maybe Charles. What it is that's really so special about this artwork? What is it that they really don't understand?
What's really special about the artwork is that every single piece is cut by hand with an X-Acto knife and glued and put together one piece at a time and layered over it. And then right after that, we put glitter throughout the whole image and Swarovski crystals throughout the image. The whole experience will pop out at you.
So you're telling me these are not done by machine?
No, they're absolutely not. They're not done by machine.
They're done by human hands.
By human hands.
Just like you saw it today, just in a compressed version.
So that takes a long time. You must have a lot of people that work with you.
Yes, we have about 40 freelance artists that come out, to the studio. And every one of them, they're an artist in themselves, that take this work home into it and bring it back to the studio. Once it comes back, I give them a sample that Charles has approved, and they make a 3D just like the way you see here.
What's the material that you use to hold the layers on?
Is 100% museum rag paper.
And the adhesive that you use?
And the adhesive is silicone glue. And usually it takes about, 50,000 tubes of glue that I gotta order every year.
Yeah, we go through about 50,000 tubes of glue a year.
And my studio kind of looks like this. You'll just cut paper. That's what it looks like.
To take a step backwards, or actually maybe forwards, we've been showing you sort of some artwork on the screen back here of different, events that Charles does. We've been talking about how art captures life, and one of the things that Charles does a lot of is commemorate special events all over the world. He's done the artwork for 14 Super Bowls and the Grammy Awards and the Indianapolis 500. And can you tell us, Charles, what event you are working on right now?
75th anniversary of Little League. Quite a few months already. And it's just kind of coming together now. But the missing elements on this piece is going to be created for the museum, where it's going to finally be at the Little League Museum as its final resting place. We are going to need a lot of help and a lot of hands to cut and glue.
And I think we're going to have some of those hands with us tomorrow, right?
Yes, I've prepared all the pieces. I've been working months on it. And the time-consuming element, besides creating the original artwork, is the cutting and gluing aspect that Jamie was talking about, and that's where we're going to need your help.
Tell us a little bit about, because they haven't seen the artwork, and they won't see it really finished until August, but can you tell us a little bit about what your inspiration is for that artwork, what you're trying to accomplish in creating the 75th anniversary artwork?
Just as it is, it's the 75th anniversary, so you're talking about 75 years of baseball history for the Little League, and I wanted to really bring across the feeling of having fun, forgetting about school, bonding with your friends.
The international component.
The international component as well, because as you may all or may not know, Little League is in so many different countries around the world. There's Little League leagues everywhere. So I wanted to bring that as an historical part and to the piece. And of course, the main thing when I create a piece is I want to bring in the excitement through color, through dimension, and also to make you feel like you're there, or that remembrance of that fun time you had that summer or spring during playing Little League. And that's what I want to bring across.
And that's what makes your art different than most sports artists. Are you guys familiar with the name Weaver and Even, or any of the other sports artists? No, I'm showing my age now. But most sports artists really specialize in doing portraits of different athletes. So you might see a Derek Jeter portrait or something of that nature. But most of Charles's sports art, which he has done hundreds of sports pieces, they really focus on capturing the entire experience of what you're seeing. So if it's a Super Bowl piece of artwork, he doesn't even need to know which teams are in it in order to be able to paint it, because what he's trying to do is capture the entire experience of being at the Super Bowl. And quite frankly, with regard to the Super Bowl, being at the game is actually the least of it. There's all the festivities that go on, there's the excitement, and that's what Charles is trying to bring on. But you've done a lot of baseball art, haven't you?
I have. I've been working with Major League Baseball for many years. I'm from New York, so I started first drawing Yankee Stadium, which is where I'm from. And I first approached Major League Baseball to say, I want to do these really cool 3D pieces using the Yankees logo. So I had to go through them to get permission to do that. Since then, we've had a great relationship, and they asked me in 2008 to commemorate All-Star Game. So every year since, 2003. So every year since 2003, I've been working with Major League Baseball to do the official poster. Some years I do the cover of the magazine, which the program at each game. And each year, as you know, All-Star Game is in a different city. So what I try to capture is the city, the excitement of when a big game and a big event comes to that particular city, what it does to transform that city. So it's not just about the game, it's really about the experience and about the feeling that you get when, especially if you're a baseball fan, of going to an all-star game and seeing your favorite players play.
Speaking of favorite players, let's talk about what these kids really want to know. What baseball players, famous baseball players, do you know?
Albert Pujols, I just did a helmet for his wife for his birthday. I've been working with Derek Jeter. Mariano Rivera always comes and knocks on our studio door and comes in and, and I was showing some of my baseball pieces that we have since then collaborated on many different pieces where he signs the edition, I sign the edition. Some of it is sold through a baseball company who sells baseball art. Some of it is used for donations and charities. But the interesting thing is with Mariano Rivera is that I asked him, why baseball? And he says, the reality of it, my passion in life is really soccer. I said, really? So he bought many of my World Cup pieces that I've made, and so he's a real soccer fan, believe it or not. Besides those two guys, probably all the Yankees, the Mets, probably all own my artwork, and that's just in baseball. You can also players like Cardinals and so many baseball players, too many to name.
A lot of football players too, and a lot of celebrities in general. I mean, you've met 2 presidents, haven't you?
I have created artwork for Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton on different occasions, for the U.S. Tennis Open. Many celebrities. I think the biggest thrill I had was when I was doing the Grammy Awards, and I met Madonna, Sting, Gwen Stefani, and they posed with my helmets, and it was just a great thrilling thing to be involved, where my artwork has been able to take me to places of meeting all these famous people, and it just surprises me sometimes. I even did a show in Helsinki, Finland, and the president of Finland came to my show. So it was like very exciting.
You didn't expect her to show up. She just drove up and said hi.
Yeah, she just came in and with her security guards and started touring the show, and he said that was the president. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Do you remember the first commemorative home plate that you did for an All-Star game? Do you remember what happened?
I did the first commemorative plate that I did.
The All-Star game, yeah.
For the All-Star game, I think it was Houston, maybe it was Chicago. I'm trying to think. So anyway, I created this original plate that was for the commemorative first pitch. And Muhammad Ali at the time was going to throw out the first pitch. And as you all know, he's having trouble with his Parkinson's disease. And the piece was all in 3D on the field and on camera. He steps up and trips and steps on it and crushes it. On camera.
Oh, but it was on national television.
It was on national television, and the cool thing is that that particular plate, because he ruined it and stepped on it, went for the most amount of money as a charitable donation for that year.
Out of all the events that you've done, what has been your favorite to paint?
I think there's just too many to name. Super Bowl comes to mind, a couple of the different cities, Indianapolis, because the Giants won and Madonna was halftime. So there's certain things about each different Super Bowl, but the Grammy Awards are very special. And I'm also a big country music fan, so when I did the CMA Awards, I was with all the different, Brad Paisley, and in a big room with all these famous superstars. It was so much fun.
So how badly we're showing our age. You guys know who Madonna is, right?
Who doesn't?
You'd be surprised.
Oh, and I'm doing a piece for Lady Gaga right now.
Right, I know who she is, right? So, who else would you like to see in paint? Yeah, Montana. I knew I was asking for trouble on that one. Charles, we found at the beginning of this that we do have some budding artists in the audience.
Yes.
So if you had any advice to give them about what they should do now or what they should do in the future if they want to become professional artists like you, what would you tell them?
A few different things. My mantra is what Walt Disney said, and that was get a great idea and stick with it. number one. But also what's very important is don't get discouraged, follow your dreams. And also very important when I always talk to young art students is that artwork, if you do it for your heart, you do it for yourself. If you want to do it as a business, for instance, and you want to excel as an artist maybe and choose a career as an artist, maybe a good way to start would be also to do really good and take some business courses in school, because that's also very important, because art, like many other things, is a business.
So to be successful, you have to have more than that artistic talent.
It would help.
Okay, so what is it that we've really been talking about here? I think that the message we want you all to get, which I started out by saying, is that art captures life, right? But there are a lot of different types of art, right? Dancing is art, writing is art, acting is art, singing is art, painting is art, photography is art. But anybody who does those kinds of things, we call them artists, right? So they must have something in common. So the question is, what do they all have in common? And basically, what they all have in common is that they use their art to interpret what they see or feel or experience in the world around them. And then they take that, they transform it into whatever art form they are practicing, and they use that art form to then communicate their feelings and expressions and experiences to the rest of us. So it's a way to sort of bring us all together. It's a vehicle for communication, communicating in a different way. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So that's why art is important. I mean, that's why art exists, is because it's a way for us to talk to each other. So when you do, art is all around you every day. As you drive down the street, the signs that you see for the gas station or the local restaurant, those are created by an artist, a graphic artist, okay? There are murals on the walls all around you. When you turn on your television set and you see an animated show, something going on your television, those are artists. And every form of artwork is communicating something to you. So if you pay attention, you might get the message, okay? So when all of this is over, you guys are going to get the opportunity back at your schools to communicate, okay? Your teachers have been hard at work, working with us for a couple of months. They've come up with some wonderful, wonderful projects for you guys to do back in your classrooms. The theme of these art projects that you're going to do is Little League and Art Community, okay? And you're going to go back to your classroom, you're going to spend the next few months putting together these projects that your teachers have come up with, enacting whatever their vision is, the message that they want to communicate. So keep that in mind when you're working on these projects, that you're trying to communicate something. You're trying to capture a feeling or an expression or an experience and convey it to whoever looks at that piece of artwork. All of your pieces of artwork will then be part of an exhibit at the gallery at Penn College alongside Charles Fazzino's artwork. So you're going to be in an art exhibit with him. Okay? So go back to your classrooms, take what you've learned here, and we can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of talking, and what we really want to do, because we know what we want to talk about, we don't really know what you want to know from us, is if we could maybe bring up the house lights a little bit. Is that up on the house lights?
Here we are.
There we go. And I think we've got some people around here with some microphones, right? I'm hoping you guys are paying attention, because we're relying on you to fill up our last few minutes here with some really good, intelligent questions. So does anybody have any questions for Charles Fazzino? Somebody with a microphone, grab somebody, and because we can't see a thing.
Do you know any NASCAR drivers?
Oh, yes, I do. I've done Actually, I did NASCAR for quite a few years. I did artwork for the Indianapolis 500 and Brickyard. The program covers, the official posters, Daytona 500, and let's
The
give a
All-Star,
list.
NASCAR All-Star, the
Let's see,
Coach
Tony Stewart, Richard Petty,
Richard Petty.
Dale R. Earnhardt Jr. That's
So we
my
worked with
artwork.
all of them.
Yeah.
Who's next?
That's hard.
Do you have any, did you see any Cleveland Indians fans?
Oh yes, I painted Jacobs Field when they had their championship. Let's see, what year was that? 1990? Yes, yes.
I'm a really big fan of them.
Right. Well, a lot of the players that were playing when I worked with the Indians in Jacob Field are probably not here anymore.
Again, you show your age. Who's next?
Have you ever done anything for nature?
Nature.
I have a piece called Serenity of the Wildlife, and I'm actually working on a collection of artwork which includes sculpture, 3D plexiglass, and a couple of paintings that has to do with what's going on, like today outside at freezing temperatures. So it's all about ecology and global warming and the plight of the polar bear.
Next.
What sport do you follow the most?
You know, I was never a huge sports fan. I was the worst little leaguer. When I was a kid, I couldn't hit a ball. It was just terrible. It was pathetic. But today I love football, probably number one. Baseball, number two.
Next.
Have you ever recognized Justin Bieber?
Actually, yes, you have. Do you remember that? When you did that Good Morning America during the Super Bowl, it was Justin Bieber's first national television appearance.
Yeah, it was in Miami on CBS, and Justin Bieber was there, and I was wondering, who the hell is that kid?
He got himself locked in his trailer. I'm serious.
Yes, he was. He was already starting to get into trouble even back then.
He couldn't get out. The security guard tried to get him out. Okay, settle down. Next. Quiet.
How long would you work on a piece per day?
Every day, this particular piece, every day I'm working, but it's sort of a labor of love, and I don't count the hours. But there's endless hours of drawing, painting, gluing, and of course, the 3D element is with a lot of help from about 50 artists.
Next.
Do you know Michael Jordan?
Yes, I met Michael Jordan. He actually paid the most money for one of my paintings, $500,000. Him and his wife at the time, Juanita. Yeah. And it was a great story about that. I was in a room with Hillary Clinton, Rosie O'Donnell, the Gateses, and Michael Eisner, and I did not get a penny of the money, by the way. I donated the artwork to For All Kids Foundation, and Rosie did $200,000, and then I
Next.
Have you ever done a piece about a college team?
Oh, yeah.
The recent college team I did was, let's see, the Gators in Florida. I've worked on Buckeye piece, Alabama, Crimson Tide, Notre Dame, and I just presented Regis Philbin with a piece of Notre Dame on his new show a few weeks ago.
Next.
Do you know everybody knows
No, but I want to.
Next.
Do you know any Heat players?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know any Heat players?
Miami Heat?
I did, but not recently, no.
Yeah. Old Miami Heat players. People you wouldn't know.
I don't paint basketball, believe it or not.
Do you ever have to look at something while you draw it?
Yes, usually I'm looking at photographs, the internet. I use lots of research. When I'm researching a particular subject or a city, I'm one of those people that's very visual, that I have to look at something to be able to draw it. Yes?
Do you only do sports?
No, I don't. I do mostly Broadway, New York City scenes, because I'm from New York. Sports is just probably maybe 15% of what I do.
Yeah, he's actually most well known for doing his international cityscape. So if you look at his whole collection, and we do have a website, Fazzinopalooza.com, you can see that he really does a lot of different cities like Paris and London and Moscow and New York and LA. So that's really what he's actually best known for. Who's next?
How many paintings have you done over this past year?
How many?
Good question. No, I don't know. Paintings, maybe about 25, but additions, probably about 20. When I say additions, many of my pieces are limited editions that are signed and numbered. They're prints. And then I also create one-of-a-kind painting.
Next.
Have you ever done any Lakers players?
No.
No Lakers, sorry. You did paint the Lakers, but you didn't paint any of the players. Who's next?
Who's your inspiration?
That's a really good question. My inspiration is probably just my love for art and love for color and loving what I'm doing.
And I'm just going to throw in there your love of pop-up books and
Yes.
red rooms.
Yes, a couple of artists that really have influenced me. Not that when I started, but since then, many artists like Red Rooms and others that have also inspired me.
Next.
Have you ever been to the White House?
No, I haven't. Nope.
Next.
Have you ever met a Sochi Olympic medalist?
Not yet, but my work, we just had a display in Sochi. I understand my three-dimensional collector pins have sold out. We had 3D pieces there, a whole art collection set up in Sochi.
We also did an event. Do you guys remember who Apollo Ono is? Yeah. After he won his first gold medal, we came back and we did a reception and art unveiling with him. So there you go. There's our Olympic connection. Who's next?
Have you followed any of their dreams in art?
Say that again.
Have you ever followed any of their dreams in art?
Yes, I would have liked to have been a singer, but seeing I can't sing, I would have loved to have been a football player and can't play. I paint. Those who can't do other things paint.
We got time for about 2 or 3 more.
Have you ever used paint or markers on paintings?
Yes, the markers that I actually use are from Japan. They're called Posca markers. If you guys haven't discovered them yet, you can buy them online. They're real acrylic paint in a marker, just like regular paint. You shake them, you can add paint to them, change the tips. They come in all really wonderful sorts of colors, and they come in different sizes. So you can do very intricate detail with them. So if you get a chance, I use them all the time now in my paintings because it's easier to handle than a brush.
Next.
Excuse me?
How old are you?
Very old.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that.
When you painted that guitar, what person was it for?
Which guitar? He's painted probably about 25 of them. Is there any one of them?
I did one for, who was it? Rockstar, the last I painted.
We're going to show our age again. Susie
I
Quattro.
think she was the last one that
Her
I did.
husband. For those of you out there, remember Happy Days, remember Pinky Tuscadero? Or that, yeah. And then there was one that was done specifically for the Grammy Awards.
Everything I paint, I want to paint. For instance, as you heard, I don't like basketball, so I don't draw it.
What's your inspiration?
inspiration for my painting is color. It's a challenge of a new city every time I sit down to draw. The research involved in it.
Next.
Did you do anything on LeBron James?
Yeah, I think I have done a painting on him. That was a while ago, though.
Next.
How many paintings did you make?
I've done hundreds over my career, I guess.
Thousands.
Thousands.
Next.
Have you ever done a piece for a gaming company like Sega?
Yeah, not video games yet. I just redesigned for Hasbro Monopoly. So it's in the stores now. It's a 3D Monopoly game. It's not Atlantic City. I redesigned it to make it New York, but it's a really fun, exciting piece of art.
Have you made any pictures of rappers?
From Run DMC,
Daryl.
Daryl, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only one I
D
think.
from Run DMC. Next.
Did you meet Michael Jackson before he died?
No, but I understand that Michael Jackson had purchased my artwork in Las Vegas, and we personalized the piece of artwork with the name Prince in it, and I understand it was hanging above Prince's bed at his house, so he owned a few of my pieces. We need some
Do you know Miranda Lambert?
Yes, I've met her, and she's really nice, and she also collects my work.
We got just a couple minutes left. I know these guys in the front, if we can get some microphones down towards the front. Who's next?
When you paint, I wonder how, like when you paint, how are your feelings?
How I'm feeling? Well, I'm enjoying it, and I usually have music playing, and that usually sets the tone in my art studio. We always have lots of great music playing. Yes.
Have you ever met any magicians?
No.
Next.
Have you ever met a Knicks player?
No.
Yes, you have. You did the piece for John Stark.
Oh,
He
yes.
retired.
There you go.
Were you buy your artwork?
Our kids allowed to buy my artwork.
Anybody's allowed to buy his artwork.
What was your favorite piece of art that you made?
Last question. Last one. Everybody settle down. Give us a minute. Settle
What
down.
was your favorite piece of art that you made?
My favorite piece of art is probably one of my Broadway pieces, or one that really stands out is I love drawing the city of Venice, and it was called Carnevale and Veneziana. And it was an Italian piece with Carnival and Mardi Gras in Venice.
Okay. So there you have it. You guys have been incredible. We thank you. We hope you learned something. But before we conclude here, I'm going to actually ask Lance Van Augen to come out onto the stage. He's the executive director of the World of Little League Baseball Museum. And he's going to talk to you, give you a little bit of inspiration for your projects when you guys get back to school. Okay? Please give him your attention. Thank you.
Wasn't this great, everybody? This is just one of a few events that we have, or several events we have for the rest of the winter, throughout the spring, and into the summer to help Little League celebrate its 75th anniversary. This event is the very first public event, so we really thank you for being a big part of that. Like Julie said, I am the executive director of the brand new World of Little League Museum. And what we've done is we've given each of your teachers some vouchers that will get you into the museum for free. Each one's worth $5. That's what it would normally cost you to go to the museum. So we want you over the next month or two to come and visit us at the museum with your families and see all the great stuff we have there. We have a running track. There's lots to do. You can learn about the 75-year history of Little League, but also have a lot of fun along the way. There are too many people for us to thank individually. But on the behalf of Little League International, I first want to thank the educators and administrators for loaning us your students to help us celebrate this. I'd like to thank this beautiful Community Arts Center and its staff for helping us to do this. I'd like to thank the First Community Foundation Partnership of Pennsylvania for making this happen, and obviously Charles Fazzino and his crew. I'd like to also thank you, the students, the fifth graders, for helping us to celebrate this. Like Julie said, there's art in everything. There's art in this beautiful building. There's art that you see on television. There's graphic arts. There's performance art that you saw here today. There's this type of art, which is just awesome. There's music, the written word, whatever you do in life, you're going to be exposed to art, and we hope that you take with you, after something like this, a better appreciation for art everywhere. Someday, as adults, you'll be faced with decisions, whether it's voting for things or being involved in a PTA with your own children, and you'll be asked whether or not art programs should continue in your school. And we hope that what you take from this is a great memory of what this was like for you, and that when you make those decisions as adults, you keep this memory in your heart, you remember how much it meant to you, so that you can extend that benefit to the children that are around when you're adults. Like I said, there's too many people to thank individually, but I did want to point out one person, and she's with us today. I think she's up in the sound booth, so we can't really see her, but I would like everybody to recognize Mrs. Jennifer Wilson. Without her hard work in making this happen, to end things today, we wanted to show you a short film up on this screen. What we did was we partnered with WVIA, a public television station out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, to produce a 1-hour documentary on the history of Little League. That will be on public television. You'll be able to see it this coming June on your television, but also all around the country. And we're really proud of it. So this is just a 5-minute teaser, and we hope you can pay attention to this. And I'll be handing it over to Rob shortly. So let's roll the film.
Well, the first day that I met Carl, it was in Sunday school. Our Sunday school teacher told us after the class there was a gentleman who was going to organize a baseball organization. And he was going to be there after Sunday school, and if any of us wanted to be interested to stay, well, we all stayed.
Millions of Americans know about Little League. For many young people, it's where they become introduced to challenge, to effort, to achievement. For many parents, it's where they go every spring Saturday to witness their kids growing up. And for some, it's where they can go and remember themselves. So many people have shared this learning and teaching and bonding experience, yet the intimate intensity of those memories often overshadows an awareness of Little League's contemporary dimension and extraordinary evolution.
Now batting, number 10, Eric C.
Little League, a History is a 1-hour WVIA original public television documentary that reintroduces America to one of its own iconic institutions. The production chronicles and celebrates Little League's 75-year contribution to American culture and to the quality of life for millions more around the world today.
Carl Stoss's philosophy was that baseball was just a vehicle. You teach kids to hit, you teach kids to pitch, to throw, to slide, to run, those kinds of things. But the more important thing is the lessons that they learn on a baseball field.
They asked if they would have uniforms, and that's what we promised them. They would have uniforms, they would have bats that could really swing, a new ball for every game. And then their other question was, would anyone ever come to watch us play?
If kids in the United States can benefit from this activity, why shouldn't kids around the world be able to benefit from it?
Little League didn't invent youth baseball. What they invented was organization.
There were 61 all-white teams throughout the state of South Carolina. We were the only black franchise.
The rules prohibited girls playing. They were excluded from playing Little League baseball. These girls, when they tried to play the league, whether they didn't respond saying, you must remove the girl from the league or you lose your affiliate charter.
The criticisms that I often hear are, you have a television contract and you put all of these children on television, and isn't that too much pressure?
For 3 generations, Little League has been a rite of passage in the United States. It has evolved into a diverse, eclectic, and inclusive experience. For many, Little League remains a bridge to both the past and the future, over which travels their dreams.
Little League is an institution. It's a huge institution. It's an important institution. It's part of our culture. It's part of world culture.
You can watch a baseball game from any stadium in the country, and you can watch it on TV, but there's something immensely more special watching a kid learn how to do it.
And Emily tees off on it. A double ball goes right to the Emily. This ball goes haywire. Left to one more. Here comes Fazzinopalooza. Now going around to the
All right, everybody. Once again, you have been an absolutely amazing audience all day. I can't believe it. Just great questions all the way around. As you leave today, I want you to look around. Art is all around you. There are murals up on the wall above. It's called Moonrise and Sunset over the Alleghenies. And there, take a look at them while you're waiting for it to be called out to leave your buses. They were painted so that if those walls were windows, that's what you would see if there was a window there. It looks just like the mountains on the other side of the wall. And there are some really great points made today that when you turn on the television set, you're seeing work by artists. It's all around us, everywhere you go. And artists dreamed it, envisioned it, and made it come true. The glass in these fixtures, if you're downstairs in the balcony, were hand-blown in Czechoslovakia by an artist that works with glass. So there's all kinds of mediums to work with. Even if you don't have great artistic skills, I don't. I can barely draw a stick man still. But I really enjoy looking at art and sharing the art with other people with great talents. Big round of applause for Charles. Great questions all the way through. We'll be dismissing you for buses in just a minute, but I want you to help me one more time with a little bit of theater magic. This is all wired through our central processing unit, and to get the curtain to come down, I'm going to want the balcony to snap their fingers 3 times, then downstairs, clap twice, and then everybody say, come on down. Can we do that without a rehearsal? I think we can. Ready for your 3 snaps upstairs, 2 claps downstairs, then everybody come on down. Ready, steady. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.